Typically, at the beginning of the school year, we conduct a series of memory demonstrations. Those demonstrations are designed not only to give you a better understanding about how your memory works, but how memory works in general. And as a result, we put into place a process known as concept mapping that ultimately ends up being our primary form of note-taking. Due to the circumstances this year, I think it's important for you to practice concept mapping over the summer so that when we return in the fall, no matter how that happens, concept mapping is a skill that you've at least practiced a little bit. In this video, we are going to overview what a concept map is. I'm going to give you plenty of examples, and we're also going to overview the steps involved in concept mapping. The first step involved in concept mapping is determining whether or not the concept map should be held horizontal or vertical. At the beginning of each concept map, to the top right corner of the essential task text, I provide you with either the letter H or V. And in some cases, I actually provide you with H or V. Those are circumstances when the concept map is short enough that the piece of paper could be held either horizontal or vertical. Now, some individuals, after practicing concept maps for a few essential tasks or after the first unit, really begin to favor one over the other, and regardless of my recommendations, continue to do horizontal or vertical for the entirety of the year. Honestly, the horizontal or vertical recommendation is just that, a recommendation. You can easily choose to do vertical all year if your style, your handwriting is more conducive to that. So as you can see in the video here, I first began by writing the essential task at the top of the piece of paper. I copied down only what was indicated in yellow. For the very first essential task, that would be just simply the words define cognition. Some of the tasks are so short that you only need a few words. I held the piece of paper as indicated horizontally. Moving onward, you will notice that before getting into the actual information, I like to provide a transition slide that shows you an overview of all of the information for that concept map. This is designed to give you an opportunity to see just how much information needs to be held on one piece of paper, how you should position your piece of paper, and where you should begin writing. This is a very simple first concept map, 3 boxes, one on top of the other, and as a result of that, when I actually put pen to paper, notice that I begin directly in the middle of my piece of paper with the term cognition. I like to copy down the what, the how, the who. As you will notice as the year progresses, I tend to start every slide with one of those types of words on the left. In this case, the first box began with what, and then the following definition for cognition. Additionally, the first box has a memory trick or a mnemonic indicated by the blue letter M. I think the best concept maps, and this should be indicated when you look at some of the examples later, but some of the best concept maps I've ever seen are the concept maps that write down all of the memory tricks. Even if the memory tricks don't seem valuable today, when we add the length of all of the courses units together, all of a sudden those mnemonics become immensely beneficial when you prepare for the actual AP exam. Once I finished the very first box though, which included the mnemonic, I closed that box off. I didn't have a ruler handy. Some students, particularly when they're in class, like to use rulers. But beyond that, I go on to the next box, which is right below. I make an arrow. I include the H for the history of psychology symbol. And I complete that second box. As you will then see, I close that box off, add the third box below, and then I will have completed my very first concept map. 3 very simple boxes, all on top of each other. I knew ahead of time what the structure of the concept map looked like with that transition slide between the task and the actual information. That gave me the overview, the zoomed out view. I knew that it was 3 simple boxes, and I prepared accordingly. Some concept maps are a little bit more convoluted. Some of them have multiple columns next to each other, and that zoomed out view that you see before actually seeing any information is designed to benefit you so that you can appropriately space your concept map. Really, in many ways, concept mapping is just copying what the concept map Prezi indicates, what I've provided on Prezi, but doing it in your own manner. So if you take a look at the example in the video, you will notice that I have some color coding going on. I have black, blue, and a little bit of red. I think one of the best things you can do is use as many colors as practical. I wouldn't go overboard. I wouldn't just unnecessarily start adding colors, but if you can create a system that you use all year, it can really be of a tremendous benefit. Some students indicate memory tricks or mnemonics in a blue letter M all year, from day 1 to day 250. That way, when they see them in their concept maps, whether it's Unit 1 or Unit 10, they know exactly what they're looking at. Some students indicate the vocabulary terms in one color all year, just like I've done here in this example in black. Some students underline key details, just like I change the colors in the text and the definitions. As I have indicated here in the concept map, I've underlined some key things. So regardless of the technique or the style that you end up choosing, the point of concept maps is for it to be yours, for you to indicate aspects of what you think will be beneficial to your overall understanding. We're going to take a look now at some of the better examples that I have on hand of concept maps over the years that I think are particularly effective at really doing what I'm asking. They really exemplify the whole point of concept mapping, which is to develop a style and a routine and a structure that benefits your learning, and then simply replicate it from day one to the end of the year. So if you take a look at this essential task, you'll notice this individual had the piece of paper horizontal, which was recommended at the beginning of the concept map. As you can see here, this is the task that they concept mapped. Notice that they listed the number, 7-1, but then also the text that's indicated in yellow. Perfect. Before we actually get into any of the finer details of this concept map, now that you see a zoomed out look of the Prezi, I want you to take a note at how this student chose to copy down the words background, history, classifying, critique, and diagnosing. And not only did they copy them down, they indicated them all in red. That's a great stylistic choice. The student continued that throughout all of their concept maps. So this routine and style is something that is beneficial because you'll see it once and you'll know exactly what you're looking at. Additionally, if you take a look closer at the individual boxes, all of the vocabulary words are indicated in the green. So whether it's the Rosenhan study or the diathesis stress model, medical model, and any of the other terms you might see, those are all indicated at the very top of the box in green. So this student knows precisely what their vocab words are just by looking at this concept map. Additionally, this student copied the terms like what or who, results, causes, treatments, etc. Those are the terms that are indicated on the left of each of the individual boxes as we go through Prezi. I think they're really beneficial because they key in exactly where your mind should be when you're looking at each of these terms. Am I looking at a what? Am I looking at a who? Am I looking at study results? This student chose to copy those down, and not only did they copy those down, they copied those down in one consistent color through the entirety of the concept map, which is a very effective technique. And then when you actually look at the text of the terms, the definitions, you'll see that they're all in a consistent light blue color. And in addition to that, when I differentiated the color within some of the boxes, as you can see here, like for example, the psychological disorder box, this student chose to provide some highlighting. So in many ways, this student developed their own style, made their own decisions, but did a really good job replicating what was in the concept map and did it in an effective way that I think was really beneficial to their overall understanding and really helped them form strong long-term memories regarding this information. So I want to make this point clear. The concept map you're looking at is not ineffective. It's just simply not as effective as the ones that you just saw. I think the last two that you just saw are really great examples of using color, using structure, and really embracing the whole point of concept mapping. This concept map here has the same information. It's just a little bit more chaotic when you're looking at it. And I think the primary reason is there's no boxes and there's no color. If you're not going to use boxes, if you're not going to box each of the terms off, in order to really clearly differentiate terms when looking at a concept map, you need color, and this concept map lacks both. Luckily, the student at least underlined terms like background, history, and classifying, so you can kind of see some of the connections. But the whole point of concept maps is to quickly see these connections and to develop a technique and a style that you just replicate again and again, so that whether it's Unit 7 Concept Map 3 or Unit 9 Concept Map 2, you've developed a technique and a style, and you're just so used to it that it's super effective when you go back to study, because you know exactly where your memory tricks are and your concept maps, etc. This one, unfortunately, doesn't indicate any of that. It has the information, but it's a little bit more chaotic because it's not differentiated through color. So I really caution using something like pencil or pen exclusively without anything at all. Like at least bring a highlighter, at least use a red pen somewhere, a blue pen somewhere. You know, this concept map really could be improved if you just simply copy down the vocabulary words in one color and indicated the what and the who in a different color. I understand not everybody has the most neat and concise handwriting. I certainly don't. So you might not be able to replicate some of the ones we just saw simply because of your handwriting, which is okay. But if your handwriting is a little bit lackluster, please make sure you at least utilize a second color, because then at least you're utilizing some of the key elements of concept mapping that truly benefits you in the long run.